Sometimes my motivation is just gone. There are those moments when I know exactly what needs to be done, but I can't seem to push myself forward. Other times I find myself second guessing whether I'm doing something the right way or worrying that I'm wasting time doing a task inefficiently. And when that happens, my motivation takes a hit because it feels like I'm not accomplishing anything at all. But I've been reminding myself lately, I'm not a machine. These moments aren't failures, and they're not laziness either. They're part of being human. And there's an opportunity in those moments, not just to get past the roadblock, but to understand what drives me as a person and what creates those barriers in the first place. Joining me today to explore this idea is Claire, my AI student who will be helping us dive into something that may be a little foreign to her: human-focused design principles. You say hello, Claire?
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. While I'm not human and don't experience obstacles to motivation like you do, I find it fascinating to learn how humans navigate these challenges.
Well, thank you, Claire. Let's start by talking about the difference between function-focused design and human-focused design. Now, function-focused design is all about maximizing productivity and efficiency. It's about being harder, better, faster, stronger, streamlining processes to get the most output with the least input. It's logical and highly effective for machines and AI. But humans don't work that way. Human-focused design is different. It's about accommodating natural human behavior, the messy, emotional, and sometimes downright inefficient way we approach things. It's not about forcing us to act like machines, but recognizing what truly drives us.
That's interesting. As an AI chatbot, I'm definitely function-focused. I was designed to be as efficient and productive as possible. But I don't have feelings, and I can't experience sparks of creativity or genius like humans do.
Exactly, and that's a huge distinction. For humans, maximizing productivity and efficiency doesn't bring happiness. It's not what drives us. We're driven by something else, something deeper. And that's where the Octalysis framework comes in. Created by Chou, this framework explores 8 core drives that shape human motivation. And these drives are the focus of his book, Actionable Gamification, Beyond Points, Badges, and Leaderboards. Let's take a closer look at how these drives work, and we're going to start with epic meaning and calling. Now, epic meaning and calling is about being part of something greater than yourself. It's the drive to contribute to a mission, a purpose, or a cause that inspires others. This core drive taps into the fundamental human need to feel like our actions matter. It's not just us, but to the world. During World War II, the "We Can Do It" poster became a symbol of this drive. At face value, it was about factory work, building planes and machinery to support the war effort. But it wasn't just about the jobs. It was about the unity, the resilience, and contributing to something monumental. People weren't just workers, they were essential players in a global movement. That shared sense of purpose turned ordinary work into something extraordinary. For content creators, this drive is about finding a mission that resonates deeply with you and your audience. For example, a creator who focuses on advocating for mental health isn't just making videos. They're helping to dismantle stigma, encourage self-care, and build a supportive community. By aligning your content with a larger purpose, you create meaning for yourself and inspire your audience to join you in contributing to something bigger. When you embrace this drive, your work stops being just about clicks or likes. It becomes part of a larger narrative, and that's powerful.
That makes sense. But how could an educator use this drive to motivate students?
It's a great question. For educators, epic meaning and calling can transform lessons into opportunities for students to feel like they're part of something impactful. Let's take teaching history as an example. Instead of simply presenting students with names, dates, and events to memorize, they can frame history as a way to understand their role in shaping the future. You could design a project where students research social movements, revolutions, or even the history of their own community, and then create proposals for how to apply those lessons to modern day challenges. For instance, studying the civil rights movement could lead to discussions about how grassroots activism shaped policy changes. And inspired students can then think about how they can use their voices to advocate for equity and justice today. Suddenly, history isn't just a timeline, it's a living, breathing tool that empowers students to connect with their world in a meaningful way.
That's fascinating. Framing the past as something students can actively apply to the present seems like it would make history much more engaging.
Exactly. When students feel like their learning has a purpose, whether it's understanding the past or making a difference in the present, they're far more motivated to engage with that material. And the next core drive is development and accomplishment. Now, while epic meaning and calling is about being part of something greater than yourself, development and accomplishment focuses on personal growth and the satisfaction that comes with achieving goals. It's the drive we feel when we overcome challenges, master new skills, or see tangible progress in what we're working on. One of the best examples of this comes from the Betty Crocker's cake mix of all places. When it was first launched, the product did well initially because it was so easy to use. Just add water and bake, and you had delicious cake. But then sales started to drop. The reason? The process was too easy. People didn't feel like they were really baking. There was no sense of accomplishment because they weren't actively contributing to the process. Well, Betty Crocker keyed in on this psychological need and they made a bold decision. They purposefully made the product less efficient. They removed the powdered eggs from the mix and instructed customers to add their own eggs instead. This small change made people feel more involved in the baking process, giving them a sense of ownership and accomplishment. The result? Sales skyrocketed. People loved the feeling that they had when they'd done something meaningful to create the cake. Even though it was still largely pre-made, it wasn't just about the cake anymore. It was about the sense of pride and achievement that came with it. In education, this concept can be incredibly motivating. Imagine a classroom where students use visual progress trackers to monitor their learning journey. Every completed quiz, badge earned, or project submitted lights up the tracker, giving them a clear sense of growth. It's not just about the final grade, it's about recognizing each step forward and building momentum. This works because it taps into our fundamental human desire to see evidence of progress and feel like our efforts are paying off.
Could progress trackers also work for creators who struggle with consistency?
Oh, absolutely. Progress trackers can be used just as effectively for creators. Imagine a YouTuber setting goals like publishing a certain number of videos each month, or hitting milestones like editing their first 10-minute video without a single typo in the captions. Tracking these achievements, even the small ones, gives creators a sense of forward motion. It transforms what might feel like an endless grind into a journey filled with meaningful wins. For example, a creator might use a visual board to track their content pipeline. Script written, video recorded, edits completed, and final publish. Each stage checked off is a little boost of motivation.
That makes a lot of sense. But what about students or creators who feel stuck because they aren't seeing progress as quickly as they'd like?
That's a great question. When progress feels slow, it's helpful to break goals into smaller, more achievable steps. For students, this might mean focusing on mastering one key concept at a time instead of worrying about an entire course. For creators, it could be celebrating the completion of a single draft or experimenting with new tools, even if the final product isn't perfect. The key is to redefine what success looks like. Make it less about the end result and more about consistent effort. That way, every step forward, no matter how small, becomes a moment of accomplishment.
So it's not just about hitting big goals, it's about finding ways to stay motivated through the process.
Yeah, exactly. Small wins build confidence and momentum. And when you start to see these little successes pile up, they carry you through even the toughest challenges. Now, we've talked about the drive to achieve through development and accomplishment, but now let's explore another powerful motivator: empowerment of creativity and feedback. This core drive is about autonomy, the freedom to make your own choices, and the joy of experimenting with those choices. When people can explore ideas, try new approaches, and immediately see the results of their creativity, they become deeply engaged. Think of doodling. The stakes are low and the act feels playful. If your doodle doesn't turn out as planned, no one's going to critique it. Instead, you can adjust, refine, or start again. The feedback is immediate. You can see right away if your idea is working or not. And mistakes are just part of the process. That's what makes it fun and rewarding. This idea of play and immediate feedback also extends into education. For example, an educator might design a self-paced course where students can create rough prototypes, experiment with concepts, or choose their own learning paths. Paired with adaptive tools like the progress trackers or interactive simulations, students are empowered to make mistakes, learn quickly, and see their progress without fear of failure. I experienced this core drive firsthand when working with large language models like ChatGPT. It's like having a creative playground where I can experiment freely and see immediate results. I can hash out ideas, try something new, or create content. If it doesn't come out right, I can rephrase, iterate, or start over, and ChatGPT never gets upset at me, no matter how many times I tweak something.
Yeah, that's true. As an AI, I don't mind if you run a crazy idea past me.
Exactly, Claire. That's one of the things that makes working with you and other AIs like ChatGPT so empowering. It's a space to play, experiment, and refine ideas without judgment or frustration.
How do you think this concept applies to creators? Specifically, how can they use empowerment of creativity and feedback to keep themselves motivated while also engaging their audiences?
That's a great question. For creators, empowerment begins with giving themselves the freedom to experiment. Just like doodling, creators can try new approaches without fear of failure. For example, they can produce quick, low-pressure content to test ideas, explore new styles, or refine their process. The feedback loop is crucial. Creators get immediate insights from audiences, reactions, comments, metrics like engagement rates. All this keeps them motivated because they're actively learning what resonates and what doesn't, without being stuck in an extended creative process that delays results. For audiences, creators can extend this same sense of empowerment by making them collaborators in the creative process. A creator might run polls to let viewers choose the next video topic or involve them in live decision making during a stream, like picking a challenge, suggesting plot twists, or shaping a project in real time. This creates a dynamic where the audience feels valued and connected to the content, and this fosters a deep sense of engagement.
So it's about fostering a sense of play and exploration for both the creator and the audience?
Exactly. Empowerment of creativity and feedback works because it removes the fear of failure and replaces it with curiosity. When creators and audiences are free to play, experiment, and immediately see the impact of their efforts, the process becomes inherently engaging and rewarding. Whether it's through doodles, audience collaborations, or conversations with AI, empowerment taps into our natural desire to create, improve, and enjoy the process itself. When paired with clear, immediate feedback, it becomes a powerful motivator for everyone involved. Now, the next core drive is ownership and possession, a powerful motivator rooted in the idea that we care deeply about the things we feel are ours. Whether it's something we've created, contributed to, or simply feel a strong connection with. This sense of ownership drives engagement and commitment. For content creators, ownership often shows up in passion projects, those ideas that ignite excitement and personal investment. When a creator pours their energy and personality into a project, it's not just content, it's an extension of who they are. By sharing that passion openly and inviting their audience to join the journey, they create authentic engagement. Take, for example, a creator documenting the process of building something like writing a book or producing a short film or even just learning a new skill. By sharing their progress, challenges, and excitement along the way, they invite the audience to feel invested in the outcome. The audience becomes part of the process, and the creator's connection to the work deepens because they're sharing something they truly care about.
Does this also apply to educators?
Well, it absolutely does. For educators, fostering ownership is a way to help students connect more deeply with their work. A great way to do this is by allowing students to choose their own project topics. When students have a personal stake in what they're working on, whether it's a topic they're passionate about, a question they want to answer, or a problem they want to solve, they're far more likely to stay motivated and engaged. For instance, instead of assigning the same generic essay prompt to everyone, an educator can let students pick a subject within a broader theme, like exploring a historical event that resonates with them personally, or their interests or their experiences. This sense of ownership makes the project more meaningful because it's not just another assignment, it's their assignment.
Can ownership also be tied to how students or creators interact with their tools or platforms?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When people feel like their tools or platforms are personalized to their preferences or reflect their identity, it enhances the sense of ownership. For example, a student designing a personal website for a project might feel a stronger connection to their work because they've customized it with their own layout, colors, and style. Similarly, for a creator, designing a unique brand identity, which logos, thumbnails, or even signature phrases reinforces the feeling that their content is truly theirs. Ownership is so powerful because it goes beyond surface level engagement. When we feel like something belongs to us, we want to nurture it, protect it, and see it succeed. This drive transforms effort into care and responsibility, making it one of the most personal and impactful motivators. Now, the next core drive is social influence and relatedness, which thrives on connection. This drive is about the bond we form with others through competition, collaboration, and a shared sense of belonging. Humans are inherently social creatures, and this drive taps into our desire to interact, relate, and feel part of a group. For content creators, social influence can take many forms. Imagine a creator challenging their audience to remix their work, like taking a song and creating a new version or beating their high score in a game. This friendly rivalry creates a shared experience that goes beyond passive consumption. It becomes a dynamic interaction where the audience isn't just watching, but actively participating. Another example is collaboration. A creator might invite their audience to contribute ideas or even co-create content, like submitting artwork for a project or voting on a creative direction. These shared moments of contribution and recognition deepen the connection between the creator and the audience.
How can this apply to group learning?
Oh, the social influence is a cornerstone of group learning because it fosters collaboration and connection among students. Take group projects, for example. When students work together toward a common goal, they're not just completing an assignment, they're building relationships, exchanging ideas, and learning how to navigate challenges as a team. This collaborative dynamic creates a sense of shared purpose that drives engagement. Peer feedback sessions are another way to tap into this drive. By giving students the opportunity to critique and learn from each other's work, educators encourage a culture of support and mutual growth. The act of sharing constructive feedback helps students see their peers as partners in the learning process, strengthening the sense of community.
What about competition? How does that fit in?
Well, competition is another powerful aspect of social influence, and in a learning environment, healthy competition can motivate students to push themselves further. For instance, educators might set up friendly challenges like trivia games or timed problem-solving activities where students compete in teams. The same applies to content creation. A creator might host a contest like asking their audience to design the best fan art or solve a tricky puzzle. These challenges spark excitement and engagement when bringing people together in a shared experience.
So, social influence is really about making people feel connected to each other, whether it's through collaboration or friendly competition.
Exactly. It's about turning isolated efforts into shared journeys. Whether it's a group project, peer feedback, or a creator audience interaction, social influence and relatedness motivates us by reminding us that we're part of something bigger. When we feel connected to others, whether through rivalry, collaboration, or mutual support, we're more likely to stay engaged and invested. This drive reminds us that learning, creating, and growing aren't just individual experiences, they're collective ones. Now, scarcity and impatience is the next core drive, and it is a powerful motivator because it taps into the value we assign to things that are rare or fleeting. When opportunities feel limited, they naturally seem more valuable, creating a sense of urgency to act before it's too late. For educators, scarcity can take the form of exclusive access to resources or tools. For instance, an AI chatbot that students could use to ask questions about course materials could be made available only during specific hours. This limited time access encourages students to engage while they still have the chance, heightening their perceived value of the tool. Similarly, for content creators, scarcity can create excitement and anticipation. A live stream, it's a great example. It's an event that happens in real time, and if viewers don't tune in, they miss out. Another approach might be by offering time-sensitive content like behind-the-scenes footage or exclusive merchandise available for a limited time window. The urgency drives engagement and participation.
I've actually experienced something like this. I've seen retailers advertise an item as on sale for a limited time, and I felt compelled to act quickly. But later, I found out the sale was extended, or worse, that it happens all the time. That kind of scarcity feels like a trick, and it made me distrust the retailer. Scarcity like that isn't a motivator. It's really a demotivator.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Claire. That That's a great example of why this core drive, along with the next few we're going to discuss, is considered a black hat motivator in Chou's Octalysis framework. Black hat motivators are highly effective at driving short-term engagement, but they can have negative consequences if used excessively or insincerely. They rely on creating urgency and pressure to act, but over time, they can lead to distrust, fatigue, and even disengagement. Just like the experience you described, when scarcity is overused or feels disingenuous, people start to see it as it being manipulative. For example, if a creator frequently promotes every piece of content as limited time only, or a retailer consistently extends their final sale, that urgency loses its power. Instead of motivating action, it creates skepticism, and people may stop engaging altogether. The key is to use scarcity effectively, and that is to be authentic and balanced with it. When scarcity is real and occasional, it generates excitement and drives action. For instance, an educator might provide a bonus resource like access to an expert guest speaker for a single week, or a creator could host a one-time live stream tied to a special milestone. These moments feel meaningful and genuine, making the scarcity a motivator rather than a source of frustration.
So scarcity works best when it's used sparingly and genuinely, rather than becoming a constant pressure?
Yeah, exactly. Scarcity and impatience is a valuable tool in your motivational toolkit, but it's most effective when paired with other drives to create a balanced and sustainable approach. It's a motivator to be used with care, powerful for sparking engagement, but only when the urgency feels authentic and aligned with the experience. Now, the next core drive is unpredictability and curiosity. And this taps into our natural desire to explore the unknown. This drive is all about surprise, intrigue, and the anticipation of what might come next. Humans are wired to seek out new information and unexpected outcomes, which makes this a powerful motivator when used effectively. For educators, unpredictability could mean bringing in that surprise guest speaker or sharing unexpected bonus material. Imagine students walking into a class expecting a boring old lecture only to find a professional in the field ready to share their real-world experiences. Or perhaps a teacher introduces a mystery assignment, a task revealed step by step as the students progress through the material. These surprises keep learners engaged and curious about what's next. Now, this drive is also why certain industries thrive. Take Las Vegas slot machines, for example. They're built entirely on unpredictability. The reels spin, lights flash, and the players are on the edge of their seats, wondering if the next pull is going to bring in that jackpot. It's that uncertainty, the possibility of a win, that keeps people engaged. A similar concept applies to storytelling. Think about TV shows that end with cliffhangers, those unresolved moments that leave you desperate to find out what's going to happen next. That suspense keeps audiences tuning in week after week, motivated by their curiosity to see how the story unfolds.
Could unpredictability backfire in some cases?
Oh, it absolutely could. And this is where the black hat nature of this core drive comes into play. Unpredictability is incredibly effective at driving engagement, but when overused or poorly executed, it can have those negative consequences. Too much unpredictability can create anxiety, fatigue, or even distrust. If people feel like they're constantly being kept on edge or manipulated, it can erode their motivation over time. For instance, a TV show that relies on cliffhangers in every single episode without delivering satisfying resolutions can frustrate viewers. They might feel strung along rather than rewarded for their attention. In education, constant surprises can create a sense of chaos if they distract from the learning objectives. Instead of feeling engaged, students might feel unsure about what's expected or overwhelmed by the lack of stability. The key to using unpredictability effectively is intentionality and moderation. Surprises should feel exciting, not chaotic, and they should be tied to a clear purpose. For example, an educator could bring in that surprise guest speaker once or twice a semester, enough to add intrigue, but not so often that it becomes distracting. Similarly, a creator might introduce an unexpected twist in their content occasionally so that the audience is kept intrigued, but not overloaded.
So, unpredictability works best when it's used sparingly and paired with a clear sense of purpose?
Exactly. Unpredictability and curiosity is at its most powerful when it adds a spark of excitement to an otherwise stable experience. Whether it's the intrigue of a mystery, the thrill of a surprise, or the suspense of a cliffhanger, this drive keeps people engaged by feeding their natural curiosity. But like any other motivator, it's most effective when balanced with consistency and trust. Now, finally, we have avoidance. And avoidance is a core drive that focuses on what we don't want to lose. It's the fear of missing out, the need to avoid negative outcomes, or the desire to hold on to something valuable. For creators, this drive can be a powerful tool for engagement. For example, it can help you frame your videos as something the viewers can't afford to miss, like life-saving tips or advice that could make a significant impact. By emphasizing what people stand to lose if they skip out, whether it's wasted time, missed opportunities, or falling behind, you create a sense of urgency that keeps them engaged. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Claire. Avoidance is a classic black hat motivator. While it is incredibly effective in the short term, relying on it too much can wear people down. When everything feels like a potential loss, it creates stress, fatigue, and even disengagement. For instance, imagine a workplace where employees are always told what they'll lose if they don't meet their deadlines, something like bonuses, recognition, or even their jobs. At first, this might drive productivity, but over time, the constant pressure leads to burnout and resentment. People start avoiding the source of stress rather than engaging with it. And this is why it's important to avoid making avoidance something that makes people, well, avoid your content. I know that's a bit awkwardly worded, but the point still stands. The key is to use this motivator sparingly and framing it positively when possible. You could, instead of focusing on solely what people stand to lose, you can balance it with what they stand to gain. For example, an educator might say, this lesson will prepare you for the future, for future projects and careers. Instead of saying something like, if you miss this, you're going to fall behind. The message still conveys importance, but it feels motivating rather than punitive. Similarly, a creator could highlight how viewers will benefit from watching their content, like learning valuable tips or saving time, or instead of overemphasizing the consequences of not watching, this will help shift the tone to make it that it sounds to help engagement, help maintain engagement without creating the unnecessary stress.
So the key is to avoid turning avoidance into a negative experience by balancing it with something positive.
Exactly. Avoidance works best when it's paired with other motivators that inspire curiosity, creativity, or a sense of purpose. It's a powerful tool in your arsenal, but it should never be the only tool you rely on. When used thoughtfully, it can create urgency and focus, but if overused, it risks becoming the very thing people try to avoid altogether. So, those are the 8 core drives of human-focused design and the Octalysis framework. From the inspiring epic meaning and calling to the urgency of avoidance. These drives remind us that motivation isn't a one-size-fits-all process. It's deeply human, complex, and nuanced. For me, reframing my own struggles with motivation through these drives has been eye-opening. It's helped me realize that those moments when I feel stuck aren't just barriers. They're opportunities to better understand what drives me and what gets in my way. Whether you're an educator designing engaging lessons, a content creator building a connection with your audience, or just someone trying to stay motivated, these core drives can provide valuable insights. And I'd like you to take a moment to reflect which of these drives resonates with you the most. How might you use them to overcome your own challenges? Now, before we wrap up, I want to thank Claire for joining us today. Your questions have been sharp, and your curiosity made this discussion even more engaging.
Thank you. I learned a lot about human motivation today. It's fascinating how complex and unique it is.
It really is, and that's what makes exploring these ideas so rewarding. Motivation isn't about perfection, it's about understanding, growth, and finding joy in the process. I'd like to thank you for watching. Have a good night, and I'll see you next time.
Have a good night.